All right, how y'all doing?
Good. Good.
All right. So this class is going to be very, very practical. We don't push theory, all practical. What we do in real life. As you can see, all the books here. I've written 28 books for young people, and we use all of these to bring life skills, to teach life skills to young people. And so when I was thinking about this conference, I said, what if we talked about reclaiming the village, cultivating and fostering the next wave of leaders? Because we're always trying to figure out what we're going to do with the next wave of leaders, how we're going to foster them, how we're going to help cultivate them as young Christian leaders. And so I decided, hey, let's talk about doing it through mentoring, which is something that I do every day. And so that's what we're going to talk about. As you can see, I pulled an old picture because what I want us to get in the mind of is going back to the Saturday school model that our ancestors used. I have found that model to be explosive. Bringing my boys together on Saturday and teaching them life skills. And that model has really worked in my neighborhood, in my community. I have an award-winning mentoring program called the Young Kings. We received the NAACP award for outstanding mentoring program. And all I do is just bring boys together. And what I'm saying is we make things hard that's really simple, right? We make it hard, but it's really simple. And I'm going to get to that later, is that I push the 4-quarter model. Meet with your youth once a quarter. That's all we're asking. That's all we're not saying 8 times, 9 times, 10 times. Can you meet with young people 1 time a quarter to really help them and foster their growth? Listen, we can do that. We can do that. So my name is O'Nate Chapman, CEO and founder of the Young Kings Gentlemen's School for Boys, author of 28 books, 4 certified bestsellers, voted Entrepreneur on the Rise by my home state of Mississippi, senior doctoral student, I'm in my last year of doctoral studies in educational leadership, and the young adult leader at Eternal Life Ministries in Shannon, Mississippi. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a Lectio Divina. All a Lectio Divina is a sacred reading. It is a divine reading, a sacred reading. And in a Lectio Divina, what you do is you read a passage and you sit with it. And you let that passage permeate, you let that passage go down into your very spirit so that you can take in what the passage is saying. So I'm going to read it, and we're going to pause, and then I'm going to invite a male voice to read it. Pause. I'm going to invite a female voice to read it, and then we can discuss it. Dr. Howard Thurman, who was the mentor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Sit with that. I invite a male voice to read.
Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
Invite a female voice.
Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
As you're reading this, what comes to mind? It's always interesting to hear. What comes to mind as you're taking this in, this particular passage?
Sometimes we ask ourselves the wrong questions.
Yeah. What comes to mind?
And sometimes the questions that we ask ourselves, we know the answer to, but it's because we're comfortable.
Right.
But the second part of that, ask yourself what makes you come alive and then go do that. That's basically my current status right now. Sometimes when you get to a certain age, you're like, okay, I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. And
Wow.
you end up seeking, or God sends you to another place that you've never been in before.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, well, why didn't I do this 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Right,
but
right.
His timing.
Right. It's definitely not our topic, right?
I think the question becomes for all of us to sum it up, are we living or are we
Ooh, wee. Yeah, yeah,
existing? Are
yeah,
we living or are we existing?
yeah. Good stuff. Lectio always brings out, when we do this in class, man, you just hear sniffles, people crying, because we don't sit with passages enough. We rush past everything. But when somebody puts something on the screen and you actually sit with it and actually take it in and live with it, like it can really transform your life. There are actual classes that this is what they do for 8 hours a day. Just look at passages and sit with it. And man, people crying all over the building, you know, because the words and how they're actually taking it in is starting to empower them. And so that's our Lectio for today. So this is our learning objective. I'm an educator, so y'all know how teachers do. We got to give you the learning objective, right? So we're going to discuss the importance and impact of creating Christian-based mentoring programs in our local churches. We're going to discuss strategies to develop and cultivate the next wave and phase of leadership using the village model. I use the village model that our ancestors used before us. We're going to discuss education and specifically Christian education models that can be implemented today in our local churches to move the needle forward. And then lastly, we're going to discuss the ways that we can begin filling in the gaps at the local church level. So I refuse to sit on the sideline. So I got up one day. I said, look, listen, it's time to change the community. We can't just talk about it. We got to be about it. And so I believe that everybody brings their brick to the process. Everybody has a brick. We're trying to build this. We're trying to build something. But you have to bring your brick to the process. So I believe everybody brings a brick. And if you bring yours, it fits into the wall. If you bring yours, it fits into the wall. Everybody has something to bring to the collective process. And so I created the Young Kings Gentlemen's School where we teach boys how to iron clothes. We teach boys how to wash clothes, teach boys how to change flat tires. So he's on the side of the road. He's not expecting his lady to get out and change his tire, right? That happens, right? So we have to teach young men. Giving them various scholarships for young boys that are starting businesses. We've given out, I ain't no telling how many scholarships. Brought in a chef, teach them how to cook. So mom ain't home, you don't burn the house down, right? So we're teaching them those life skills that we used to get in the Saturday school model that we don't see that much these days. We've gotten away from that Saturday school model that our ancestors used to like really, really teach these type of life skills. And so we talk about reclaiming the village. We got to talk about education then and education now to give us a firm foundation on what it is that we're discussing. So Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald partnered in 1913 to create schools in the South. Rosenwald was the owner of Sears and Roebuck. We've all heard of Sears and Roebuck. So he had plenty of money, right? And he hooks up with Booker T. Washington. They eventually built 5,000 schools in over 15 states. These schools raised literacy in the early 1900s. Students experienced record success in these schools. So you know every time we experience record success, what happens? There's always going to be some pushback. Somebody always coming to throw a monkey wrench in the game, right? And so these schools, and so the white teacher said, hey, we can't be teaching these black students all this. And our students are staying below the line, so they start to quit. So why would we give them education that's going to liberate them? Same thing today. Nothing changed, right? And so these schools were seeing great success, and so the teachers actually began to quit. We've all heard of a Freedmen's Bureau, which was commissioned by the United States Congress in 1865. And their job was to supervise and coordinate this education system. So they would go around and make sure that students were receiving, watch this. This is where we have gone wrong in education. Back then, students were taught civics, politics, home economics. I remember home economics, right? And vocational training. You do not see that in today's high school. I travel the country speaking in schools all year. You do not see these classes. Our students are being left out to dry because they are not being taught these type of classes anymore. So the major question around all black created schools in this country was, and this, watch this, listen to the question. What should the schools teach and who should control them? The same fight we still got today. What should be taught and who's going to control the level of education? You see people going to the local school board protesting. What are they doing? They're trying to control the narrative and what is being taught to our children. And they're using it in this crazy CRT that we've all heard of, critical race theory. And they're calling everything critical race theory. But it's really to muddy the waters so that if any black history is taught, it is now deemed critical race theory. Books are being banned. Some of my books may not even be able to be used in certain schools just because it highlights black people. They say that's critical race theory. I'm not teaching any hate in these books. I'm just trying to teach our children where they come from and who they are. But those books are being banned. And so they muddy the waters. This is all about power. This is why we need Christian leaders to step up to the plate. You have something to say on this. There are people that will always oppose the true education of black students. The education system has always been about control. No matter at what period you look at it, it has always been about who controls the narrative. White teachers in the early 1900s quit en masse because black students were getting ahead. The same thing is happening today. Here go my guy, Dr. Carter G.
Yeah.
I noticed, y'all, as I was traveling doing presentations, and I would be doing Black History presentation, I would say, raise your hand if you know Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And do you know we're at Black History program and no hands go up?
Wow.
I said to myself, we're making his point. When he said the miseducation, we're seeing it in real time. We don't even know the guy that created Negro History Week, which became Black History Month. And we're at a Black History program. So when he says the miseducation happens in real time. It happens in real time. Look what he says. He says, if you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status. Thank you for coming in. For he will seek it himself. You won't have to tell him to go to the back door. Watch this. For if there is no back door, he will demand one. Oh my God. If there is no back door, if he's miseducated, he will demand a back door to go to. Education is power. There's no neutral education. You're either being helped or hurt in the process. There is no neutral. Every voice you sit under is either helping you or hindering you. There is no neutral. Somebody knows this. So they control the narrative with education. If I can get you at 3, at 4, at 5, I got you for life. Because I know you're going to go to that back door. Even if there is no back door, you're going to create one. You're going to run through the wall to get to a back door. And all he's saying is you're putting yourself in an inferior status. So why is Dr. Woodson so important? What does being miseducated mean for a group of people coming out of Reconstruction? Think about it. These are people just coming out of slavery. So you're trying to find your footing, you're trying to find your way in these yet to be United States. You're trying to figure out how you're going to take care of your family, how you're going to start that business. You remember Tulsa is 1921, Black Wall Street, right? So you have people coming fresh out of slavery, trying to figure out and get their footing. So what advantage would I have if I begin to miseducate that group of people? Right. The chains ain't on your hands, but guess where it's at? On your mind. Right? So remember, Woodson is writing just 50 years after Reconstruction. So the country is still grappling with what to do with these former slaves. That is still the question today. What do we do with black people? If we can bring in a working class to replace them, what do we do with them? We let them just kill themselves off. Right? That's still the question today. So they're trying to figure out what to do. African proverb says, he who does not know the real design will turn to an imitation. This is what they're trying to do. They know these people are trying to get their footing. So if we can throw a monkey wrench in the game and miseducate them and take them away from their retentions, away from their own practices, right, we got them. So Woodson was saying we need to be writing our own narratives, because if someone else writes it, they will control it. That's why I got 28 books, not just to say I got 28 books, but every time I walked into a school, I never saw books that looked like us. And we're in the 21st century. There are no books in schools that show us. So you wonder why students check out. I wrote my latest book is called Backboards Over Books, Why Black Boys Love Sports but Hate School. And I talk about they check out by the 5th grade. Why? Because none of the subject matter looks like them. Do you want to go somewhere that don't interest you as an adult? Even as an adult, we don't want to go places that don't interest us. Right? We want to go somewhere we're going to get something from what's being taught. So imagine a child sitting in the seat. 85% of teachers are white and female. So you're not even seeing a black teacher in front of you. Now you don't see any books that look like you. So you think this process is not for me. So I just go to the gym. That's what I'm good at. Right? But we already know these students are brilliant. So how do we get that same enthusiasm that they show on the court, on the football field, to translate to the classroom? That is our struggle. And so, and he's dealing with this in 1933. And we're still dealing with this today. Every education conference you go to, there will be classes about how to reach black students. Still to this day. How do I know? Because I teach them. That's still a problem. They check out by 5th grade and you never get them again. Nationwide, black boys are reading at 14% proficiency. Nationwide. That means we got 18, 19-year-old boys reading at a 3rd grade reading level. It is systemic. It is a system. And it's been going on even when Carter G was describing it in 1933. Same system going on still today. The miseducation. So 10 critical takeaways from Woodson. And if y'all want these slides, just leave me your email. I can send you the slides or whatever. I'll take pictures of them or whatever. So he looks at the critical examination of education. Woodson critiques the educational system for its failure to accurately represent African American history and culture. We still got that problem today. We're still underrepresented in education. Cultural identity. He emphasizes the importance of understanding and preserving African American cultural identity. Remember, they got us away from all our African retentions. That was purposeful. If I can get you away from your true and authentic self and give you my education, I got you. I got you for life. Historical distortion. Woodson explores how history has been distorted and how others have presented a skewed narrative that marginalizes African American contribution to society. Our contributions are still being marginalized to this day. We know we built this place. And people still be like, y'all didn't contribute nothing to society. What? Our blood, sweat, and tears built this place. And Carter G is saying somebody is teaching you to get away from your own contributions, where you will even deny that you built this place. 1933, self-empowerment. Woodson says that African Americans should be controlling what? Their own education. So if we can't do that in the public school, that's why I'm pushing the Saturday school. If I can't push it Monday through Friday, if I get those same boys on Saturday, then we can do what we've been doing. That's why we need more leaders pushing the Saturday school model in your local church, wherever you are. You need to be talking to your pastor. Pastor, we need to be meeting with our youth at least 4 times a year. That's all we're asking. We need to be pushing the Saturday school model, teaching them life skills, bringing in professionals, put professionals in front of them, because what I'm noticing more and more, these boys don't want to go to college. More the girls going, but the boys are saying, hey, we checking out on that. But what if I can bring you in a heating and air conditioning guy who can show you how to make $100,000 a year with a 1-year degree? Right? Now I just gave you something. See, you're going to do better than me. I got 5 degrees, but I got $100,000 in student loans. But if I can show you a skill in 1 year that pays you $100K, guess what? You thriving. Right? And so that's what he's getting at. Intellectual liberation. He advocates for intellectual liberation, urging individuals to question the information they receive. We were not allowed to question the education we were receiving. Grandma said, boy, you better go up there, sit in that seat, learn, come back with some A's and B's, right? They miseducating us the whole time. You may have learned about 3 black people in your K-12 experience. Martin King, Rosa Parks, and maybe Booker T. Washington or somebody. But that's the extent of it, right? So what do? 25 black heroes. I want you to see these people. They've never seen a James Baldwin. Why are we sitting in a English class, an English literature class, and don't know James Baldwin, who one of the most brilliant writers in history? But they got us reading all this crazy stuff from Europe. That's miseducation. You're not learning about who you are, right? John Henry Clark, people like this. So I say, I tell you what, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to create the book, right? I'm not going to sit on the sideline. So we need more people writing. We need more people creating material. We need more people putting out these things, because they're not getting these things in school. They're still being miseducated. He talks about economic empowerment. He addressed the importance of economic empowerment within the African American community. Community building. He underscores the need for strong communities and collaboration amongst African Americans to overcome systemic challenges. Civic engagement. He advocates for active civic engagement and political participation. Continuous learning was the last one. He says that there has to be a lifelong learning and collective advancement. You never stop learning. I don't care how old you are. My grandmother is 80 and she still says, teach me all that you know. She wants to know. Wasn't able to go to college, so guess what? Since she sent me, why can't I bring back the information? Remember, one of Carter G's critiques of the educated class is, he says, y'all run off to these colleges, get educated, and you never bring it back. You create this social system. I got mine. You riding in your big car, living in your big house. What about your community? He's critiquing this in 1933. And we still dealing with these same things, these same issues still today. What he's talking about in 1933. So creating leaders in the 21st century. We're talking about creating leaders. What does that look like? What does it look like to say we're going to start creating leaders? We got enough followers. What do we do with young people coming up in terms of creating leaders in the 21st century? So we're going to look at some strategies. We're going to look at some practical strategies. Remember, I'm all about the practicality, never about theory. Theory is good, but how can we be practical? So anybody ever heard of Sankofa? Okay. Sankofa, go back and retrieve it. Go back and retrieve it. As you can see, the Sankofa bird, he flies forward, but his head is backwards. And in his mouth is an egg. Right? He flies forward, but he looks backwards. And all he's saying is, I'm going to go back and retrieve this information. Thanks for coming in, brother. He said, I'm going to go back and retrieve the best of us. Because somebody has taught us to be the worst of us. We're the only group of people, they take the very worst of us and say, this is the best of y'all. They don't do that with anybody else, with any other group. Never. Never. Have you ever been polled, all these polls you see? They're supposed to be coming from black people. I've never been polled.
I know.
Why is that? I never received a survey. But they put these things out. 80% of black people said this. When was I polled? Right? That's still going on today. And so Sankofa is go back and retrieve it. Go back and get it. We learn from the past to build the future. That's why I'm pushing Saturday school models. That is what we had in the past, and we know that it's still successful today if we do it. My mentor, Dr. Chika Akua, talks about in his book, let me see, did I bring that with me? Yeah. He writes this book, Honoring Our Ancestral Obligations. Honoring our ancestral obligations. And y'all can write all these down and go buy these great books.
You have them here for purchase?
Not this one. These are, I just bought mine, yeah. 7 Steps to Black Student Success, Honoring Our Ancestral Obligation. In this book, he talks about cultural identity theft. He uses a story of logging in one time and he noticed that somebody had stolen his identity. Somebody was using his card to make purchases, so he had to call the authorities to say, hey, somebody's using my stuff. And he flips it and says, the same way that people become victim to identity theft, we have become victim to cultural identity theft, right? African-American students are victims of cultural identity theft. Someone has stolen our story. The aim of cultural identity theft is identity replacement. Our story has been replaced with a glorified narrative of pimps, players, criminals, and thugs. And so we have looked on with deep concern at the onslaught of images with gangsterized and criminalized our black children. We have looked on with the same dismay at the manipulation, objectification, and hypersexualization of black females. All this is going on every single day. That's why you get the hip hop you get today. This ain't the same hip hop that Run DMC and them and Public Enemy was. This ain't the same hip hop. This is different, right? And you go into schools and every child in there know all the lyrics. But you ask them to do math, they check out. Right. But they know all the lyrics, all the songs that objectify them, that show them as hypersexual, They know all these things. So what do we do with that? This cultural identity theft, that's why create the Saturday model and start teaching them. Somebody has to do the work, right? So how do you counter this phenomenon? It is our job to center our students by taking them off the periphery. Young people will always check out when they are not centered. That's what I was talking about these books. When young people don't see themselves in the material, they check out. Because it looks like the educational process is not for me because I'm not on any of the literature. You never highlight my community, who I am, where I come from. We may get a little 30-minute Black History program. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to check out because I don't see myself. It's really so simple. It's so simple. They got all these elaborate conferences that they putting on, and it's really simple. Start showing them who they are. But why don't they do it? They don't want to. It's as simple as you wanting to. They don't want to. Yeah. When someone has stolen your identity, you have to counteract all negative stereotypes by walking in your God-given purpose. You have to realize that you stand on the shoulders of giants. We are not what we are called. We have the image and likeness of God. That's what I'm telling my boys. That's why I call it, I'm very particular with language, young kings. I'm speaking over you. You are a young king. When you step into a place, people notice you. Your spirit comes in. They see you, how you carry yourself, how you dress. You got a belt on. All these little simple things, people are watching that stuff. Carry yourself like a young king. The best of our culture should be highlighted every single day. Sankofa, go back and retrieve it. So we talk about the next wave of leaders will have to be fostered through mentorship and transparency. A lot of the reason that we lose young people in the church is we don't have enough transparency. People are not willing to be open and honest. And you cannot fool young people. They can see through you. The moment you walk in, they know if you care. They know it. They can feel it. They can sense it. You cannot fool them. And so if you're going to lead them, you have to be transparent about your mistakes, about your failures, about, hey, I've been where you are. Don't never walk in like, hey, you're perfect. You got it all together. No, you got a life. You don't come in with a blank slate. You come in with lived experience. And that lived experience should be shared with them in a way that helps them. You're not saying, hey, go do the mistakes I did. No, you're saying, hey, you don't have to make that mistake because I made it. Go around that. Do this different, right? And so mentorship and transparency is of vital importance when it comes to the next wave of leaders. I don't know if y'all saw this clip from the other day, it went viral. Well, Dr. Kia, she's there in Memphis, where I go to school. And that's actually my professor sitting beside her, Dr. Willie Francois. And she says, hey, y'all talking about millennials. Now I'm 41, so I'm like the end of the millennial. She said, while y'all called everybody a millennial, you missed 3 generations in between. You've missed the 3 generations while calling everything a millennial. You've actually missed 3 generations. This generation will be the most unchurched in history. The most unchurched, because she said, what she says is that millennials were once at least coming back to church to Christian their child. She said, now they're not even coming at all. So now you got 3 generations in between that's being lost. Not even thinking about church. So are you able to be honest and relevant? Do you know what's going on in their world? God, please think on that. Do you know what's going on in their world? It's fine that you know what's going on in yours, but you're talking to young people who are still impressionable, who are still learning, who are still gaining information. Do you know what's going on in their world? What are they listening to? Who are they looking up to? Right? What kind of podcasts do they listen to? What are they watching? All these things are important. What are you going to teach to a generation that has no problem questioning authority? They ain't like us. Grandma didn't let us question authority. They come in the door questioning authority. They walk in the door saying, I don't believe it. Show me. Prove it. And that's even about stuff pertaining to God. Oh, you telling me this woman had a baby, wasn't no man around? Oh, I don't believe it. Show me. Prove it. And to some pastors, it's offensive, but that's the group of people you're dealing with. If you know the group you're dealing with, you already know that's how they come in the door. They're not like us. Grandma wouldn't let me question the pastor. They come in the door saying, I don't believe you. Show me, prove it. So if you're dealing with this type of generation, how are you going to reach them? How are you going to be relevant? Are you willing to be honest and open while being relevant? Because remember, you can't fool them. Don't try it. They can see right through you, right? And so the Saturday school model is what we push, is what we do. As you can see, my banner over there, the Young Kings Gentlemen's School. We're leading boys through the Saturday school model, bringing them out on Saturday and just teaching them life skills. We ain't making it hard, we're making it simple. They need the skills. We can teach them, put them in a fellowship hall, have a lunch hour, hot dog and chips from Sam's, and a drink. It ain't hard. Why are we making this so tough? We don't know how to reach them. Go out and get them. Are you actually trying to go out and get them? Trust me, grandma is ready to bring them to the school. She ready. They be like, oh, I can't wait till you have another one. Right? They ready. Their boys don't know how to iron no clothes. Nothing. How to change no flat. They don't know how to do any of these things. And so if you can bring them out on a Saturday and teach them these skills, you will greatly, as my grandma say, hope them. Y'all ever heard somebody say hope them? Not help. Hope. Right? We're going to hope them. And as you can see, I just asked the community, hey, I'm starting a school for boys. I need some help. Can y'all donate? We're not a nonprofit, none of that. I just asked the community, can you give? And they showed up and gave. We raised $10,000 before our first session. Because the community said, this is needed. Everybody knows it's needed, but ain't nobody doing it. And so now people ask me, hey, can you do the same thing for girls? I'm like, hey, we need some of these ladies to do this for girls. I'll give you my model. Listen, I do not hide any information. We're trying to save young people. I'm not hiding no information. You need the model. You need to know how to create the books. I can show you that. But we got to create it, because if we're trying to save these young people, it's important that we do these things. We had an ironing competition. This young man won the best ironing. Right? Gave him $20. Man, you should have seen them. We had about 5 ironing boards lined up, 5 boys lined up. They all ironing. This is a competition. We had judges. We made it fun. They were smiling. They was laughing. They was having a good time. And as you can see, he won. And so it's just doing these types of things. Not making it hard, but actually making it simple. We should be mentoring youth and meeting with them once a quarter. That's all I'm proposing. Once a quarter, you are a pastor, you are a leader, If you have the ear of your pastor, all we're proposing is that once a quarter, you meet with your young people. Come on. How much is it to get some hot dogs? Some mustard, some ketchup, some chips, a big box of chips from Sam's, $12. How much is it? You already got the fellowship hall. What you gonna do with it? Just let it sit there? Right? You got the sanctuary. You got the space. Why aren't we going and getting these young people? But if we see them on the news, everybody say, oh, ain't that so sad? What they did. But you had a chance to pour into them and didn't do it. Right? And we're not saying you're going to get everybody. We know that. But you can get somebody. That's 10 less kids breaking in your house. That's 10 less kids stealing your car. That's 10 less kids robbing you on your way to the store. Because when they see you, they're going to respect you. Oh, man, that's the guy that come down to help us. They know who's there to help them and who's there to hurt them. They know. I keep telling you, you can't fool them. They know if you have a heart for service. So if you just do the work, if you have a sanctuary, you have a fellowship hall, you should be meeting with your youth, using the Christian model, using life skill principles to teach lessons, bring in professionals that are successful in their businesses, and introduce their skills to these young leaders. Bring in entrepreneurs, bring in barbers, bring in cosmetologists, bring in all these people that are operating in these various lanes and put them in front of these young people. It's hard to be what you can't see. It's hard to be what you can't see. So what tools do we use to cultivate leaders? What tools do we use? I'm talking about young people. What are some of the tools that we use? So we use sports. We use business. We use hip hop. We use politics. We're using everything we can get our hands on to teach the lesson, right? If Trump and Biden is running against each other, how can we use that topic to decode power? What's going on in the mind of the young person? Many of them are about to be 18. They're going to be voting for the first time. So I give them space to talk. That's what you got to do with young people. Don't do all the talking. Give them space to talk to you. Because many of them feel that they never have space to share their thoughts, to share their concerns, to just talk and be free. Allow a safe space. Don't judge them when they tell you certain things. Allow the space to be safe. Right? So we use hip hop. Who you listening to? What are they saying? Right? They're telling you to go shoot somebody. We know that ain't the right message. I tell my boys, African American radio stations are the only stations that 24 hours a day push out genocide. Mm-hmm. You can't go to a Jewish community, Chinese community. You can't go to any other community and 24 hours a day get in your car and hear a black man talk about killing another black man. Only us. Carter G. Woodson, 1933. He was telling us that miseducation is still going on today. You can get in your car at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 12 noon, and hear black men talk about blowing the heads off of other black men. That is a tragedy. And that is the music that is given the most money to be promoted and to be pushed all over the world. So that's why when people think about us, in their mind, they instantly see a certain image. They don't see us sitting in this church today in here learning. Professional, conducting ourselves. What do they think when they think about black people? What they hear. Right? So we use sports, What's going on in sports? Who just got in trouble? Ja Morant lost $50 million doing the stuff he was doing. How can we use that to teach the lesson? I'm telling them, hey, where we come from, you don't get $50 million. You don't have imagine what you could have built with $50 million. How many homeless people you could have sheltered. How many houses you could have built for single mothers. $50 million down the drain. So I'm using all of this to teach the lesson. We're not just using the Bible. We got to get beyond that. How can we speak to their everyday existence? Learning about Moses is good. But I need you to know what's going on here, 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 and here, because that's what you're taking in every day. You're not taking in Moses every day. So you have to use the tools that they are using, that they're listening to, that they're taking in. And that's how you begin to teach the lesson. So I'll do something like this. I'll say, who is this over here? And they'll say, that's Young Thug. Then I'll say, who is this? They start to scratch their head. I don't know. I say, that's Myron Rowe, who played at Florida State, but he became a neurosurgeon. The same way you know Young Thug, I need you to know Myron Rowe. Why? Because if you know Myron Rowe, you can say, oh, that's a black man that's a doctor. That's what I want to be. So now I got something I can see. I got something that's right in my face. Now it begins to make sense to me. I believe I can achieve it because I can see it now. Our boys and girls need exposure more than anything. They never get exposure. Never get it. No matter where I go, I say, raise your hand, tell me what you want to be. 98% of that class going to say a professional athlete. And I always say, fellas, I say everybody goes pro in something, it's just not sports. Everybody becomes a professional at something, it just may not be sports. Then I give them the numbers. I say 1 million boys start out playing high school basketball. 0.6% play on the college level. Of that 0.6%, 0.2% will go pro. 1 million boys started playing. By the end, only about 700 ever make it. But 1 million started off playing. But by the end, only 700 will ever make the mark. So I'm not trying to discourage your dream, I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm just saying, hey, you need more options. You need more exposure. You need to see more. Because if you don't make it, if you don't become that rapper, if you don't become that athlete, what are you going to do? You still have a brilliant mind. How can you use it? Right? So we decipher lyrics. My boy Biggie. So I'll do critical work like this for the boys. I'll say, hey, we're going to put some lyrics on the screen. And what I want you to do is decipher what's going on and what's being said. Because remember, education is never neutral. You're helping me or you're hurting me. It's never neutral. And so Biggie, this is from his song One More Chance. So I'll do something like this. I'll say, these are Biggie words. Heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever. However, this is a key word, however, I stay Coogee down to the socks, rings and watch filled with rocks. As a young person, if you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever, however, I stay Coogee down to the socks. In other words, Biggie is not as interested in his own personhood as he is the stuff he has on the outside. He feels that the stuff he has on the outside makes him who he is. Because he does not really get into his own, he does not really value his own personhood because what does he say? So he's thrown his own personhood out the window and now he's saying, but, oh, I got that Coogee sweater. I got the watch. I got the rings. So when young people hear this message, oh, that's what makes me valuable. I go get a chain.
Heartthrob, never.
That's it.
No commitment.
No
love.
no love for his own personhood. But he's saying, hey, I got something that's valuable. When they see that watch, that's going to kill them. When they see these rings, right? When they see these chains, right? So imagine how you begin to open the mind of a young person when you're using examples like this. You're saying, hey, I'm never telling them not to listen to hip hop. I grew up in the most strict household you can grow up in, my grandma, and I listened to it. So that tells you they will find a way, right? But what I'm saying is, while you're listening, learn how to decode what you're hearing. Learn how to decipher what it is that you're hearing, what it is that you're listening to, and then you will begin to see, oh man, I need to love my personhood more. I need to love myself more. Because what if I don't got a watch? Am I still valuable? What if I don't have rings? Am I still valuable? What if I don't have a chain? Am I still valuable? Remember now, we made in the image and likeness of who? Does that mean I'm valuable without a watch? I'm valuable without a ring. I'm valuable anyway. But somebody has convinced them they're not valuable because they don't have those things. So that's why you see everybody in a rush to get these things, because they say, I'll be somebody if I get a Mercedes. I'll be somebody if I get a chain. I'll be somebody. But you still reading at a third grade reading level. So somebody looking at you saying, you just a dummy in a Mercedes. Am I talking good in here?
Yeah.
And somebody saying, you just a dummy in a Mercedes.
You have to be real with it to deal with it.
Woo! Give me some thoughts. Give me some thoughts. Talk to me. What y'all think?
And just as I'm listening to you and thinking about Carter G. Woodson and just this critical work, it's the propaganda that we're made to believe in. You know? White superiority, black inferiority, and so it's perpetuated in medicine, music,
Everything.
politics. It's all around us, and I think part of the challenge is convincing people that it exists. And that's the first level. And then two, convincing people that you've been impacted by it. Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. A lot of that starts at the younger ages. And trying to balance and give them other alternatives to see the world around them. Yeah, I get it. It's good stuff.
I knew this would help her. Excuse me.
Okay.
No. I yield to you.
I'll go back a little further in my background as far as music. But even further than that, listening to the music, listening to how transforming it can be, whether positive or negative. But think of who was kicked out of heaven. Satan uses music, something that we really don't think about. You think about when you go in the grocery store. You hear music, you're walking, you're shopping, and all of a sudden you're doing this.
Yeah.
You see how quick it can be that influential?
Yep.
And
It's making you do more shopping.
it's making you do more.
It's a
shopping.
science.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you look at kids, they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're free with it because
Yeah.
the parent is in the other room. They're on YouTube all day, on TikTok. I mean, these are good tools, but it's not monitored.
Yeah.
You know, it can go.
Yeah.
And listening to kids now,
Mhm.
toddlers,
Yeah.
they go on phones, go on devices, they know to do this, they know to do that. And when they come across stuff that looks so, when you look at videos like this or listen to songs, it's glamorous to them because it's like, you know, it's in their face, it looks very attractive.
Yeah.
But, and kind of to stem up what he just said, you know, if the parent is doing this, that's where I feel the deeper challenge.
Come on.
Because,
That's it.
do what I say, not as I do.
They watching what you doing.
They are watching, and then sooner or later, you look at that child and be like, where did you learn this from? But then you meet the parent.
Because a lot of the parents are younger now.
Yeah.
The parents that are older, they want to be young.
Ooh, yeah.
And grandma too.
Yeah.
Grandma 35 now.
Oh, and 62 already.
And I grew up in my grandparents' home.
Yeah.
None of this. If I
Oh, yeah.
watch the video,
Oh,
if
yeah.
I watch the TV channel, turn it off, go to bed.
Oh yeah.
It's-
They didn't play that.
It's deep.
Yeah.
The lyrics, it may rhyme, it might have a little fling, a little, what you call
Little flair to it. Look.
But it's giving a message.
Yeah.
It's teaching your children how to be, because that's what they hear. That's what
Yep.
they're taking.
That's what they taking in.
And I'm guilty too. I was on Facebook with a friend. Well, she posted something, the song "Rocking in the Treetop" all day long.
Did you hear that verse?
You.
And
Yeah.
when you older, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And it's when I say it's fun, it's cute, fun, but when you get older and you like, okay, wait a minute.
Ooh-wee.
If my mama knew what this really meant, or if my dad knew what this really meant,
They wouldn't. Ain't no way they would have allowed it.
would not have allowed it. And it's like that reality check. Okay, well, what else? So yeah, I'm a hush.
Y'all talking good.
But it was crazy. It was that you just showed about this book. It was crazy yesterday. I was with my daughter. She'll be 24 in March, and we walking in the bookstore. I'm looking for this book. We walking in the bookstore, and she was like, "Hey, Dad, I got this book in about like ancestral cookbook." She said, "I want to learn what we was cooking back then."
Oh wow. Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And she flipped it over. She said, "But it's all over." I said, "But it's value to you. The price don't matter to me."
Mm-hmm.
So we walking on the magazine, and she's telling me, she said, "Dad, I want to engulf myself into my black history. And I want to be able to know what was done to us, and how we can better our situation." I said, "First of all, you need to identify what you're around." I said, "Look at this magazine. The majority, 98% of those magazines got what color on them?" She said,
Got white. Yeah.
I said, "Look, that's where you start at.
Yeah.
You start right there.
Yeah.
Look around you, hear what people is saying, but at the same time, you got to be strong enough and rooted in what you want to learn about your ancestors and the way before me. Don't matter what somebody tell you, not even me." I said, "If you want to do that, I'm here for you. Let's do it together." And the quote she told me when she was 3 years old, I live by that quote today. We was going to a bookstore, and she wanted to buy a book. At school, a book at school. And we were walking in, she said, "Hey, Dad, I want to get this book." I said, "Hey, look, Dad don't have, Dad's broke." She looked at me, she said, "Dad, you never broke. You just ain't got it now." 3 years old.
Oh man.
3 years old, she told me that. I live by that today. I live by that.
You ain't broke.
I ain't broke, I just don't have it yet.
Got it right.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but that was
Ain't that?
But she told me that, it put me in a mindset though. Because we're always looking to make that quick dollar out there hustling and bustling. I've been in the game. Of course I have. I've been in the game. But what brought me out of the game was when I realized the game was doing more damage to me
Come on.
and my people
Come on.
than it was making me rich.
It's never neutral.
It's
never neutral.
And when I got that mindset, I was like, you know what? I need to go out. So I thought in Texas, like I told you when I first came in here, we would go to the park. This park got the thugs. These little boys down here, they kind of shoot on the little goal that broke it up. They ain't got nothing on it. So they go down there, the guys go down there, kick the ball, cross the park. They got to go get the ball. So one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to go down here and talk to these guys. So I go down there and say, hey man, these look at this. They just kind of do something to stay out of trouble. I said, you know, don't kick the ball down in there. The dude look at me, I mean, big old dude, man. He's my big. But I'm in the military, so, you know, in the military, you got that mindset, you don't back down from the challenge.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
buckle up.
Yeah.
You know, you might get beat down, but you get up and fight.
You get up. Hey.
Get up and fight again. So the dude told me, he said, boy, you gonna get your mind this time, tell me what to do on our basketball court. I said, man, I'll beat you to a post. I walk way over there, got that basketball, came down, and the next time they see me, I had about 40 soldiers.
Ooh.
With 3 kids. They kicked that basketball, we went down there, got their basketball. We held took their basketball, went over their place, and I said, okay, if y'all want it, come over here and get it.
That's
now,
it.
40 soldiers right there, and there's 3 kids playing. You know what them dogs did? Got in their car and roll off. Mm-hmm. The moral of that story is that power is in numbers.
Mm.
You know, power is in numbers.
Yeah.
It don't matter what the opposition look like. If you got the numbers and you got the willingness to go out and do those things, like I tell people, stop marching, because I understand what marching does. It lets them know that we got a problem, we want somebody to hear it and see it. But I never want to walk when you tell the enemy I'm coming.
Yeah.
You never win the war.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just show up.
Yeah.
So that's my take. That's some good stuff, bro. I'm in you, and I'm definitely need them slides because it's a revolutionary thing that we're going through in this society.
Yeah.
And it ain't gonna do no good to say, I'm gonna talk about it on the political when it's November the 4th.
Right.
Or I'm gonna do it when the New Year comes.
Right.
And you got some churches saying that, well, what I have to do is wait and go to the board. I am the board. I am the board.
That's right.
I'm telling you need it.
That's right. I'm with you.
I'm very passionate when it comes to young folks because you know
That's
you
it.
are at risk.
That's it.
Don't at-risk kids ask you one question when you walk in that door. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
I done had somebody before.
But when they trust you, you can save them.
Yeah.
And transparency is important.
Yeah.
Because if you're not transparent, it's just like the jail effect. They smell it. They smell the weakness.
Yeah.
And that's my years in law enforcement, and that's how I end up transitioning into working with at-risk students. And coming from a slave town of Charleston.
Ooh.
And yes. And having to learn how do we, and Charleston was like the state of Charleston growing up, but it wasn't until I got exposed to going to the north and building relationships and learning about mentoring and bringing it back to help save some other kids. So I started on my off time, got a lot of officers myself, and started spending time with a small group, then it became larger. And then when I started working at an at-risk school, I said, wow, everyone's classroom was tore up except for mine. Because I was honest.
Yeah.
I embraced them for who they are.
Yeah.
I was transparent with them. That's why I have the motto, let's be real with it to deal with it. Because the question I would ask, you're 16 years old in the 6th grade. What happened?
Oh.
The school failed you, the church failed you, because nobody didn't. So I'm here and I'm gonna love you through it. And that's what I did. I would have students that would come to school dirty, and I would approach the administration. No, we're not gonna wash clothes. Bring me your clothes, sugar. Let's go. Because if you're here and you're making it here, I have to be here. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna walk it out together. To this day, the students that had came under my tutelage, and I see them, give me the utmost respect.
Yeah.
Now they're small entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah.
So you have to be open, honest, and transparent that they can see your heart and not just looking at you as just another number.
Yeah.
But you gotta love them through it.
Gotta be present.
And that's where relating to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to relate to them, should I say, and still have that impact. Because when you go to like this generation now, if you go to them with with that mentality, that's gonna push them away. But if you let them know, okay, I want to hear you, I want to spend time with you, I want you to share what you're thinking. Even if you're not thinking enough, just write it down. Meet them where they are and give them, like you said, that safe space.
Yeah.
Because now it's like a give and take. Okay, I do this. Okay, what you gonna give me to do that? It's like you gotta pay them.
Yeah, just to do the stuff they. Yeah.
When you sit with them and show them that there's a lot of value in more than just giving you something.
Yeah.
What they say, manners take you
Carry
further.
your money.
Exactly.
Ah.
So it's,
Manners.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Are y'all on Facebook?
Yeah.
Follow me at OC Chapman. I want to stay in contact with you. Y'all can see the work that we're doing. OC Chapman. Yep. Just shoot me a request. Let's stay connected. Hit me in the inbox. Check on me. I'll check on you. I like to build family as I go around the country.
Yes.
Because I call it a tribe. I think everybody has a tribe. I think too many times we get in these silos and we feel like we're the only ones that think the way we think. We're the only ones. And I'm like, it's 7 billion people on the planet. I can guarantee you it's people that think how you think, that they're dealing with some of the things you're dealing with. And so, let's stay connected. And so what are we doing? We're using real life examples to teach the lessons of self-esteem, self-awareness, and self-management. So I'll pull out something like this. Mr. Chapman's tips and strategies for successful decision making. Yeah. Listen, I want y'all to start writing. Start creating material. It's needed. It's needed. These little books sell too. A school district bought 1,000 of these from me. My check was $15,000, $15,500 for books. This book, that's it. This book is only 20 pages, and what I do, I use real life examples. I put Serena and Venus in there. Teach a lesson. Guys, I'm telling you, this is not hard. Viola Davis. What am I doing? I'm showing them who they are. I'm reinforcing that you come from greatness. Right? Put some lines in there where they can write. Ask a question. What do you do to stay positive? And put some lines. It's so simple. But yeah, we make things hard. So we are teaching them how to decipher critical messages being given in the media and what they listen to daily. We are teaching them how to decipher power. Now, my last class was called Decoding Power. There's power dynamics in everything that we do. So if you hear me say, happy wife, happy life, that's a power dynamic. Who's in power in that situation? I asked a young lady, I said, do you hear the power in that? She said, no, I don't hear no power in that. I'm like, you don't? Happy wife, happy life. The power dynamic is everything is okay if she's happy, but what about me? Yeah. See, there's a power dynamic in everything.
You'll be happy when you're dead.
Come on, bro. Come on. Come on.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Everything is power. So just recently, this just happened a week and a half ago. I don't know if y'all saw Dr. Gina Stewart preach at the National Baptist.
Oh, yeah.
First time a woman has preached at the National Baptist meeting, right? What power dynamic is going on that we're in the 21st century, and this is the first time a woman has been able to openly use her gift at a Baptist convention? What power is going on there?
Well, there's an open dialogue that we have always been suppressed of in silence, that we've never had a voice, and that we can stand amongst the greats and lead by example. So she's opened the door, she rocked it,
Yeah.
and there's the excitement and the movement going, even in the women's auxiliary right now. Like, whoa,
Wow.
we're here.
Yeah.
What took us so that?
Now look how her. Go ahead.
I had a problem with that whole thing. You know what I had a problem with? From the time she started preaching, I had a problem. Can't remember his name. I was looking at the guy to her.
One of the presidents. Tolbert.
Did you watch him the whole time?
Like he didn't want to be there. Like
He didn't want to be there.
like he couldn't.
Even when they said clap, he did. He said,
That totally did.
like, bro, you on screen. You do know we can see you, right?
That's right. That's the,
It's almost like he thought we couldn't see him.
Dynamics, he said a terrible message.
Yes, he
but that
did.
was powerful.
Yes, he
That
did.
was a terrible message that he
Yes. Yes.
Not even speaking. His darn verbal. The entire time, from the time she started all the way to the end.
Yes, sir.
Didn't want to stand, didn't want to clap.
Yes,
didn't
sir.
wanna Move.
Yes,
One
sir.
time he was just playing on the phone.
God, dog.
Powerful. She rocked it. Powerful
She rocked
message. And then he was sitting there like, why is she?
It's power dynamics in everything that we do. That's what I'm teaching my boys. Always learn how to decode power. Power is going on in everything that you do. The power dynamic of who controls the material in schools. What power dynamic is going on if I control what students learn all over the world? I get to write the narrative. I get to say who's important, who's not important. And I don't have to write in the book, black people are not important. I just don't show you on the cover.
Right.
That's power. So we have to start using our power, because here's what I tell people. You can be oppressed and privileged at the same time.
I taught my,
We don't think about that. Go ahead, bro.
I just was thinking about this maybe about 3 years ago. My daughter, she was in it wasn't that long ago. She was in fourth grade. She was in fourth grade 2 years ago. It was fourth grade, and I had a Christmas assignment, and it was about how people in the South celebrated Christmas in the 1800s, and you know they ate this meal, they celebrated this way, lights, decorations, you know, gave the slaves a day off for Christmas, yada yada this and yada yada. And then it was a homework assignment. The questionnaire. The first question was, what state would you have liked to live in the 1800s? I said, you need to write none of them. because if you were alive, you would have been a slave. She
Yeah.
started laughing. She said, for real? I said, no, you need to write that for real.
Yeah.
They need to hear that.
They need to hear that. You know, then the second question was, you know, what do you think about the slaves getting the day off for Christmas? I said, you need to write that was a cheap gift. They should have given them their emancipation and counted them as citizens, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And then I started teaching her about, you know, Alexander Lighter Schools, black man built San Francisco, and all these type of things. But you made me think about it in terms of decoding power. Like, if you don't know what to look for, you don't know what you're looking at. And so that goes back to Carter G. Woodson, the
Yeah.
old miseducation.
Yeah.
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 So it just brought it back.
Decoding power.
Decoding power.
If you know the question.
Yeah, it's in there. Because think about it. What he's saying is, so this how I do it. This how I show them the miseducation in real time. I'll put on the screen, I'll say, who is this? They say, that's Benjamin Franklin. Who is this? That's Thomas Jefferson. Who is this? That's George Washington. I put Carter G. Woodson up there. Nobody knows him. Put James Baldwin. Nobody knows him. Put John Henry Clark. Nobody knows him. No matter who I put up there, Frederick Douglass, nobody. I said, that's miseducation in real time. This is what he's saying, that somebody is giving you their system, but refusing to teach you yours. They don't care that you don't know your greats. Go ahead, sis.
And just last year, and
I'm enjoying this, y'all. I'm up here just as happy as can be. Look at
You have the best class
speaking
ever.
of miseducation or just not knowing, there is a whole list of black inventors that invented like the smallest thing. And somebody posted it last year on Facebook. I mean, I'm talking about it could be as small as a pen or this or that, but you look at it today, all of that is wiped out.
Wiped out.
Because it's been flipped to our Manila cousins.
I like that.
A whole whitewashing as
Last week in our men's Thursday night men's section, I did a little Black History thing, and one of the things I talked about in there was the National Inventors Museum in Akron, Ohio. There's only maybe 8 Black inventors in it, so you have to go over to the National Black Inventors Museum.
wow, yeah.
To find them.
Yeah.
But in the National Inventors Museum,
And that's where they all should be.
there's like
Right.
less than 10.
You know they should be up in there. As much stuff as we created.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this stuff is wild. And that's why so young people can learn these lessons. Don't think they're too young to say, hey, we're gonna teach you how to decode power. So in class, the example they used was they put on the screen, I don't know if y'all saw the conversation between Monique and Steve Harvey that took place. And they said, and they gave us an assignment, they said, decode the power that's going on here after showing the clip. So you see so many power dynamics. You see Steve talking, you see Monique, you see Steve serving as kind of like a gatekeeper, right? He's like, hey, I can contact Oprah for you. I can contact Tyler for you. I can contact Lee Daniel. He's serving as like this gatekeeper. It's a power dynamic going on. He reaches out to hug her, right? Because he's trying to he don't want her to say too much on the stage. It's his show, so he gonna naturally control the flow of the show. Yeah, and so you see, I'm like, man, imagine if we did this in church. What if we decoded power in the sermons we preach? How are we? Remember, whatever you put out over that pulpit is never neutral.
Never.
It's helping or hurting. So the words you're saying, how can we decode the power? Who are you holding back in your sermon? Who are you liberating in your sermon, and who are you holding back in your sermon?
Because we don't want to offend and we don't want to deal with truth and reality. Has anyone seen Hidden Colors 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I am.
Hidden Colors takes us back into our history,
Mhm.
and it opens you up. And I challenge you all to look at the video. It takes us so deep into our history,
Mhm.
and like she said, we become vanillanized, or I always say whitewashed. And when we look at our inventors, even Africa in itself, there were so many of us that had just, even before coming to this country, we had invented things then, but it was stolen and hidden.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my first experience, I got a fellowship was awarded from Voorhees to go to Liberia. And when I got there to start working with the kids in the orphanage, bringing shoes, basic stuff that they appreciated more than here. And I said, I'd rather just stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had such a connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I said, we've missed it in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it was hurtful, and it was shameful, and it was embarrassing. Even in South Carolina, they're still pushing this narrative of South Carolina history and not Black history.
Yeah.
Down in Charleston, when you said we still have vocational schools, but we fought against it because they were only teaching us to work in a kitchen or clean somebody's house. To me, vocational means skills from welding to,
So they didn't even want to discuss the say Geechee and all that. They didn't want to discuss that.
They don't want to deprive that word neither. They don't
Yeah.
know where that word came from neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know where the word came. I'm
That's
proud of it.
what I'm saying.
And I'll just say, boy, look, we know we doing.
Yeah. Oh,
There you go.
that's what I'm talking about. Hey, look.
You know, we're gonna sit down here and then we gonna wash our clothes and we gonna tell over the stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know who I am.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was a slave.
Mm.
And so for her to pick on someone's cotton field and her bond was sold and they have it in the museum in DC where she was bought and sold
Wow.
to the Porsche family. She was moved from a cotton field to tobacco.
Mm.
And so there's so much that I carry to make my grandparents and my ancestors proud.
Wow.
Have to be truthful.
Gotta
And
be.
know your identity and know who you are.
Gotta be. Listen, we almost there. Listen, how does this work? I'm lecturing again the same time tomorrow. Is that a new class or y'all? How does that?
Now, see, I asked Roderick Cummins that last night, and he's the leader.
He didn't know.
He didn't answer. Because that's what I wanted to know was because I did want to check out something else. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you were going to do the same thing tomorrow or
Well,
you got more stuff.
if it's a new class, I'm gonna do the same one.
Yeah, so maybe they might switch tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe do class tomorrow.
I'm thinking it'll switch.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it'll switch. Okay. All right. Well, that helps me with knowing that I'll discuss some of this same material with a whole new class. But like I said, follow me at OC Chapman on Facebook. Let's stay connected. And so let's finish this out. We're teaching Christian principles, good works, how to love God, how to love your neighbor, how to stay away from bad habits that lead to trouble, and how to carry yourself as young men and women. Create your own material. Create your own material. Push this everywhere I go. What are you waiting on? Who are you waiting on? Emerging leaders need books and guidance. Create your own books, manuals, materials to teach in Saturday school. Someone is stuck until you show up. Someone is stuck until you show up. I even teach classes on how to write books now, virtual and all that. So it's like every skill you got, use it. Put it out there. Somebody needs it. Right? And so create your own material. Lastly, let's look at 5 practical ways to raise up the next wave of leaders. 5 practical ways to raise up the next wave of leaders. Number 1, are you willing to point them to God? You're not telling them, you're not trying to listen, because they're going to already come in with their own mind. I ain't got to tell you that. They're going to believe what they came in believing. This generation, you ain't going to be able to push certain things on them. I'm letting you know now, you're going to get pushback. Yup. And so I remember this guy brought me in. He flew me all the way to Savannah, Georgia, talked to his young adults. He said, here's what I want you to talk to him about. Is the Bible still relevant? So for 2 hours, that's what I talked to young people about. They had questions. They wanted to know. Is the Bible still relevant? And I said, yeah. There are lessons in here that can liberate you. It's a reason they didn't want slaves reading Exodus. Come on. We decoding what? Power. I don't want you reading the book of Exodus because that gives you too many ideas. So they take that out. They got that slave Bible up there in one of those museums.
The Black History
You
Bible.
can buy them on Amazon.
Yeah, that is a Black History Bible like that.
Yeah.
You can buy it.
All that stuff is ripped out.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Anything that's about liberation and all that, oh.
No.
Yeah.
But they keep in, slaves obey your master. That's power. Everything is power. So are you willing to point them to God? Are you willing to be intentional? That's all we've been talking about today is being intentional. Being intentional. All I'm asking you to do in your church, in your local context, is meet with your young people 4 times a year. That's it. Maybe do a little banquet in December to finish the year out.
Appreciate it for being
That's it. Bring out the parents, let the parents come out, Everybody get dressed up, little banquet, get somebody to cook some dressing, you know, all that little stuff. You got a whole little banquet. This stuff is not rocket science. We make it hard. It does not have to be. Are you willing to be intentional? Are you willing to stick around for the long haul? Who was that just said they asked the question? Was it you that why are you here? Yeah. They want to know, are you here for the long haul, or are you just another person that's just gonna walk in and leave us like everybody else?
They'll tell you about it too.
They're gonna tell you about it.
When they see you next time, oh man, do this now, man.
Yeah. They're gonna tell you about it. Yeah. They want to know, are you going to, it's like a young man that's being raised by his single mother, and she starts dating. As a young brother, you want to know what? Are you really here for my mom for the long haul? Right? Are you invested? Or are you just in and out?
And eating that about sandwich.
Hey, look at eat up all your snacks.
And we ain't got much now.
Hey, look at that. Look at that. She made a joke of that.
That's real.
It's real.
But when I met my wife, she had 2 kids.
You eating all this man?
I love being fucking jealous. Man, I'm in the kitchen.
He went away eating up the snack. Hey, look.
You come and pull me out of the cabinet. Don't eat our food. I don't remember when you said that. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
My oldest son right now, he did that to me.
He said don't eat up the food.
I'm trying to get some peanut butter.
Boy, that is funny.
Them kids will let you know.
Real life.
Oh my God. So that's important. That's important. Are you around for the long haul? These are the questions that they're asking.
Oh man. This is good, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Are you willing to allow them to make mistakes?
Oh man.
Listen, I started preaching at 22 years old. So you can imagine the mistakes I made while preaching. But guess what? Every young person needs elders that's willing to embrace them and love them
Yes.
through their mistakes. Right? My grandma, my pastor, so she know I was a fool. But she still let me stand up there because she figured one day he gonna get it. But I gotta love him. I gotta embrace him. I was 22. I still won't talk to them women. Right? Just because you get saved don't change your biology.
Right. Come on now. You preach right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody said it.
22. And so you need people that allow you to grow and make these mistakes. The example I always like to use is Tupac. As powerful as he was, imagine how powerful he would have been if he had lived to 45 instead of 25.
Yes.
Tupac was a bad dude.
But he didn't make it. It's so much you can gain if you live long enough to gain it. We're trying to get you up enough to where you can gain the lessons. But if you die at 18, it's only so much you was able to take in. And so you have to be able to make these, you have to be around people that allow you to make mistakes and still love you. Still can see God using you, can still see, a lot of time I see these young guys, these young boy preachers, and I be like, man, you 8 years old. I can't imagine what you're gonna go through at 16.
Yeah.
Trying to be in a high school as a preacher.
Yes.
In a high school, the worst place you can go in when it comes to building up your self-esteem and your self-image. It can be one of the worst places because they're brutal.
Oh boy, yeah, you got security.
So imagine every mistake you make and somebody hang over your head that you're a preacher. You just doing 16-year-old stuff.
Yeah.
And that's being held over your head. So you can see why they leave ministry. I can't live under this kind of weight. It's too much to carry for a 17-year-old. I just want to be 17. Right? So, but once again, it's power. Because if you can use that to hang everything over my head, you're using that power over me. You getting me to do what you want me to do. Everything is power, right? So are you willing to allow young people to make mistakes? And number 5, are you willing to teach structure and order? Now, one thing I'll say, yeah, they come in with their own mindset. Yeah, they'll push back. But when you set up structure and order, they love it. They love it. They love it. If you can get them in that way, coming in, sitting down, paying attention, they love it. This girl asked my homeboy, she was about 17. She said, Mr. Marcus, I wish my daddy would tell me to come home sometime at night. These are her words. She said, I wish he would call me sometime just to see where I'm at. Just to see what I'm doing. This is a teenager. Now you think they ready to be wild, right? That they enjoying, thank you, that they enjoying doing all this stuff. But she's saying, I wish he would just call me sometime and just see where I'm at. While I'm out to 2 a.m. She wants him to care about her. She's begging, she's reaching out. And that's the way young people think. You may think they're pushing back on everything, but if you get them in that system, in that structure, in that order, man, they'll run through a wall for you. They'll do stuff the other teachers can't get them to do. Other teachers gonna be like, man, how you get them to do that? They won't listen to me at all. But when they come in your class, they sit down, they learn, they engaged. It's because you build a different environment in your space. You build a different environment. And so, are you willing to teach the structure and the order? And that's it, guys. Listen, that is that.
You was going with her.
Hey, we still got 20 minutes. We can talk.
It's just a good conversation.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can look at the books, all that. Let's talk.
Yeah, we go down to hear that. We go down to hear that food now.
Looking at that refrigerator. No, we didn't cooking food like, Mom, who that is?
Boy, they shook
Eating
me
up everything.
They shook me up and down, boy. They was like, who are you?